Hey there and welcome. You know, in the business world, there's really only one thing you can count on, and that's change. It's constant. It could be a tiny little process tweak or a huge company-wide pivot. But actually leading that change, well, that's a whole different ballgame. It's probably one of the toughest things a leader has to do. If you get it right, you can absolutely soar. But if you get it wrong, the consequences can be, well, pretty catastrophic.
And that really gets us to the heart of the matter, doesn't it? When you're standing at that fork in the road, how on earth do you know which path to take? Do you need a full-blown revolution that shakes the company to its foundations, or is it more about a series of small, careful steps? Should you be moving at lightning speed, or is a slow, steady evolution the smarter way to go? Getting that choice right, that's everything. All right, so here's our game plan. To figure all this out, we need a map. So first, we'll talk about why navigating change is so darn tricky in the first place. Then, we'll unveil that map, a really powerful framework to make sense of it all. From there, we'll explore the two paths of gradual change, then flip over to the two paths of rapid change. And finally, we'll pull it all together so you know how to choose your own direction.
So, let's just start with a fundamental truth, okay? When it comes to managing change, there is no silver bullet. There just isn't. Trying to use the same playbook for every single situation is kind of like trying to use a hammer for every job in your workshop. I mean, sometimes you need a screwdriver, right? Sometimes you need a wrench. A one-size-fits-all approach is doomed because it ignores the single most important thing, context.
So if there's no magic formula, what are we supposed to do? Well, we use a model. And we're going to look at a great one, the Balogun and Hope Hailey change model. Now, I want you to think of this less like a rigid set of rules and more like a compass or a map. It's a framework that's built to cut through all the noise and confusion, helping you figure out exactly what your situation is so you can pick the right strategy to match. So how does this map actually work? It's surprisingly simple, really. It's all built on two key ideas. The first is pace. Basically, how fast do you need this change to happen? Are we talking about an immediate, all-hands-on-deck kind of rush, or something more slow and steady? The second idea is scope. Just how big is this change? Is it a minor, incremental tweak to how you do things now, or is it a massive, game-changing transformation that redefines who you are as a company?
And boom, here's where it all comes together. When you plot pace against scope on a simple grid, you get these four very distinct types of change. If it's slow and small, it's adaptation. If it's slow but massive, that's evolution. If it's fast but targeted, we call it reconstruction. And if it's a fast, massive, big bang event, that's a revolution. The real light bulb moment here is realizing that each of these four quadrants requires a totally different kind of leadership.
All right, let's start exploring this map, shall we? We're going to begin on the slow pace side of things. These are the kinds of changes that happen over time, which gives you room to plan, to adjust, and to get things right. We're going to look at adaptation and evolution. First up, we have adaptation. Honestly, this is the kind of change you see all the time in healthy, growing companies. It's the bread and butter of just getting better. We're not talking about changing the company's mission or its core identity here. No, this is all about making those small, continuous adjustments to become more efficient and more effective at the things you're already doing. Now, we see this in action with some classic examples. Take Toyota's philosophy of Kaizen. The whole idea is to empower every single employee to suggest small improvements every single day. Individually, they're small, but together, they lead to huge gains. Or think about agile software development. It's all about working in short cycles, or sprints, and then stopping to reflect and adjust. It's a built-in engine for constant, gradual improvement.
Okay, now let's slide over to adaptation's cousin, evolution. The pace is still slow, it's still deliberate, but the scope is huge. This is transformational. Evolution is what happens when a company looks ahead, sees the future coming, and decides it needs to fundamentally change its identity to stay relevant. The key is, it has the luxury of time to manage that deep, careful shift.
Some of the biggest names in business show us how this is done. Back in the 90s, IBM realized hardware was becoming a commodity. So they spent the better part of a decade evolving from a company that sold boxes into a high-end IT services and consulting giant. More recently, look at Apple. They've very deliberately and patiently built out their massive services division. Things like Apple Music, iCloud. They transformed their whole business model beyond just selling iPhones.
Now, let's jump over to the other side of our map. Let's get into the fast lane. In this world, time is a luxury you just don't have. These changes are all about urgency, usually driven by some immediate threat or pressure. Here we're talking about reconstruction and revolution. Let's start with Reconstruction. The key thing to remember here is that the change is fast, but the scope is still relatively small. It's incremental. This is your classic turnaround play. The business model itself isn't being torn down. It's more like the house is on fire and you're frantically trying to put it out and board up the broken windows. It's all about stopping the bleeding fast.
So think about it like this. Imagine a retailer that's on the brink of failure. They might have to rapidly shut down dozens of stores, make painful cuts to staff, all to stabilize the bottom line and just survive. Or picture a hospital in a financial crisis. They might freeze all new hiring and get rid of services that are losing money just to stay financially viable in the short term. These are quick, often painful fixes designed to keep the lights on.
And that brings us to the most dramatic, high-stakes quadrant of them all, revolution. Here, both the pace and the scope are turned up to 11. It's fast and it's transformational. A revolution is that big bang moment. It's when a company is facing an existential threat, and the way they've always done things is simply not going to work anymore. The only option left is to radically and rapidly change everything.
The poster child for this, of course, is Netflix. They saw that streaming technology was going to completely destroy their DVD by mail business, so they made it an incredibly risky bet-the-company move. They pivoted, hard and fast, pouring every dollar they had into streaming tech and content. They basically chose to kill their own cash cow before someone else did. This was a lightning-fast transformation that redefined their entire company.
And you can't tell the Netflix story without talking about Blockbuster, can you? It's one of the great cautionary tales in modern business. Both companies saw the same revolutionary threat coming. Netflix found the courage to embrace it and pivot to a digital future. Blockbuster, well, they were in denial. They clung to their brick-and-mortar stores and their late fee model. And the result? It couldn't be more clear. One became a global giant, the other went bankrupt. It's a brutal lesson in what happens when you choose the wrong path.
So, we've journeyed through all 4 quadrants of our map, from the slow, steady burn of evolution to the big bang of revolution. And that brings us to the most important question of all. How do you, as a leader, actually use this map to choose your own direction?
And this, right here, is the absolute key takeaway. There is no best quadrant. Revolution is not somehow better than adaptation. They're just different tools for different jobs. The real genius of great leadership isn't being a master of just one type of change. It's about having the wisdom to accurately diagnose your situation, look at all the factors, and then select the right tool from your toolbox.
I mean, the creators of the model themselves said it perfectly. Your success depends on everything: your market, your competition, your company culture, your financial health, all of it. Your job as a leader is to be a great diagnostician first and a great change agent second.
So, we'll leave you with this to think about. Now that you have this map with its 4 distinct territories, adaptation, evolution, reconstruction, and revolution, I want you to take a hard look at your own organization, or even just your own team. What kind of change is really on your horizon? And more importantly, are you ready to lead it